On the bench today, folks, we're supposed to have a great debate with two great senators. Only one has showed up. Elgeyo Marakwet, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen. We're supposed to have Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. He said he was busy in meetings, by the way, and we saw him on TV throughout. Yeah. And he said he was going to try and make it. Okay. So, and he's not picking his phones now. Yeah. So, you know, just for the record. No,
he's a good man. And I saw him today struggling with some assignment for his party leader. I don't blame Mutula. It's very difficult to defend the situation where his party leader is at the moment. It's not easy to defend Kalonzo.
So what you're saying, he's between a rock and a hard place.
Very. And also he's between protecting his job as the minority whip in the Senate, which is a position he holds majorly because of ODM, and at the same time taking a hard stand against the ODM party leader, which is a position Oka has taken. So you can imagine the struggle he has to go through.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of struggles.
Yes.
So the president, a couple of days ago, he's literally, for the very first time, he's told his deputy, look, if you're not happy, quit, resign.
Yes.
You know, just walk away.
It was a little bit strange, but not surprising, because he created that condition himself. For 4 years, the president tried to frustrate his deputy for him to resign. It started by taking away the responsibility. First, you remember the jibe that telling the deputy president, hii kijana anapenda kutanga-tanga. You remember even Mombasa, they were launching a project. Then the president says, you know, we must take lifestyle audit because some people, all that kind of thing. Of course, the deputy president immediately the next day said he welcomes lifestyle audit and let the structures be put in place. When the deputy president says, okay, that subject, you know, collapsed. Then it moved to Executive Order number 1 of 2019, which put all the responsibilities of the deputy president in the office of the cabinet secretary, my friend CS Matiangi, and the PS Kibicho, and you know all those stories. They were hoping, or it was intended. You remember even the closed an office, the office that was being built in Mombasa for the deputy president. I hear, by the way, that his personal belongings are still locked inside.
He still has his clothes there?
Yes. So all these frustrations, for those of us who have worked closely with the president and the deputy, would see that there was a problem. It's only that nobody was willing to voice it. What is strange is that the Constitution gives the responsibility or functions of the deputy president to deputize the president in his functions and to perform functions that are delegated to him by the president or by an act of parliament. It is strange because there is no, I would have wished if I was in that interview to ask the president only one question, which I wish my friend Kashuri and the team had asked. What responsibility did you give your deputy president and he refused to perform? Or what responsibility of government given the deputy president? Because, you know, the deputy president, like deputy governors, cannot allocate themselves responsibilities. They depend on their bosses. And in some jurisdictions, you become, you know, a newspaper pusher. In other jurisdictions, you have, because of civility that goes with the office and the way you campaign together, you get to perform your functions. A very good example in the recent past is the relationship between Obama and Biden, which was a very cordial, nice relationship, friends beyond. You remember when Obama was about to retire, he bestowed upon Biden the highest Medal of Honor, you know, all that kind of relationship. And if you see Ruto and Uhuru in first term, you would have likened them with Obama and Biden. Yeah. But if you see them in the second term, you can almost be very clear that the relationship was not as it was in the first term.
Okay, so
to close that, just that part. So the president, to his own credit, has not accused the deputy president of failing a single responsibility. He's only accusing him of unhappiness.
Okay,
because
I agree. But let me ask you this:
just to conclude that sentence, because there's one part. Okay. There's only one thing that the president complained about his deputy. He complains about the BBI process, which we all know BBI it was not a government program discussed in any cabinet or passed as part of Jubilee manifesto, or was there even any involvement of the deputy president in amending the constitution? And I can understand why the president is angry, because most of the things that the deputy president raised, they questioned about the constitutional amendment bill, from imperial presidency to ombudsman office that interferes with the independence of judiciary. All those issues, including public participation and engagement of the public, all those issues are the same issues that the High Court and the Court of Appeal agreed with the Deputy President.
Okay, so
I would have thought, Jeff, in other jurisdiction, the President would have been so happy with his deputy that he had the right counsel and the right approach to the Constitution that he would have bestowed upon him the highest Medal of Honor.
So let me ask you the obvious question, and I keep asking this question of your colleagues, and I feel like a broken record at this point.
Yes.
You said the first time they were cordial, they were brothers, they were tight, there was a bromance.
Absolutely.
What went wrong?
The president was asked that question. He said he doesn't know what went wrong. If you ask me, from the frustrations the deputy president went through, even in a civilized country like ours, you never get a cabinet secretary like the way my friend Musheru was doing, insulting the deputy. Musheru, who cannot even be elected a chief or a sub-chief in a sublocation, would have the audacity to, insult the deputy president. Munya did the same. Kibicho did the same. Matiang'i has done the same several times, including today. In a civilized society, you will realize that from the beginning of this second term, there seems to have been a change of mind on the part of the president, that he wanted somebody else to become president, or he wanted to manage succession in the manner in which he wanted to manage. To do so, he found it very difficult, and I can understand, to undo his unilateral announcement that, Yangu Kumi, Ruto Kumi. He found it very difficult to undo what DP did for him in 4 elections, in 2002, 2013, 2017, twice. So what do? They say you first, paint the, what do they say? You give the dog a bad name, and then you can be able to now stone it. And in this situation, the effort that has been put to frustrate the deputy president to either announce publicly that he wants to resign or to answer back the president and insult him was so much that I guess the interview of the president recently was the kind of an interview where you tell yourself, I've used so many proxies to try to frustrate this man, or to make him angry, or to make him answer me, or to make him look disrespectful to the president. Now that, it's not bearing fruit, and I have a project here called Project Raila, and I have to push him to the constituency in the country that voted for Jubilee, which was Uhuru Ruto, I need to do more to demonstrate publicly that the deputy president is out of favor with me. And Jeff, because I joke sometimes with your colleagues here that I have been on Citizen TV for over 10 years, coming here, and the days we used to do political analysis and stuff. So this is almost like home. There is only one request I'd make to you and to journalists and the media, and I'm glad I get this opportunity to come, and other people get the opportunity to come, is to give a fair assessment and fair opportunity for all of us to air our views. Because if you look at in the last 1 year, and you people criticize us as politicians, so you need also to get feedback from us. Yeah. In the last almost 1 year, there has been consistent attacks of the deputy president by print and electronic media. Consistent.
But he gets an opportunity to talk every time he wants, by the way.
But if you look at Jeff today, if you want to get my feedback, you ran a story about Arun, a very wrongly reported story. The deputy president talks about he called the Equity Bank to give a loan to a East Africa businessman for an investment in Uganda. You report that the deputy president had said he called the Equity Bank for investment for the Turkish guy to get money from Equity Bank, which is it was your radio station where the deputy president was. It was properly recorded. All those minutes, zero rebuttal. Always, I used to teach media and the law. always you give a chance to both sides of the debate. That's why you called me with Mutula. And that's why I understand my responsibility. Even when I'm sitting here, I should understand that if you take me to task on the things I'm going to say, it's because there is the other person who would have rebutted. Correct. So you have a responsibility for the viewers to see that there's a balanced story. Correct. You ran another story about Kalonzo for 5 minutes, accusing the deputy president 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. You give his press secretary, David Mugonyi, 5 seconds to respond. So what I'm just requesting, I know the pressure that media houses are going through. I request that you resist the temptation to be put into pressure. And I understand, media houses are being put into pressure, judiciary has resisted, other institutions put in pressure. Our request from the side where we have suffered enough. The state agencies are tear-gassing us, they are, harassing us. Please, because this institution of the media, some of us really feel very strong about it and believe in it. I personally believe in the majority support that Citizen TV has because of its historical growth and what they have stood for, even at a time when, even if people related to this station take these sites politically, your editorial content has always been independent.
Sure.
So that is the request we are making.
Absolutely. But let me ask you this. So you're saying there's no relationship between the deputy president and Harun Aydin, the Turkish businessman?
No, the deputy president has owned publicly that he knows the Turkish businessman. He took him to President Museveni. He went also with him to Tanzania. The idea is that this man wants to establish an agro-processing industry in East Africa. And for him to tap into all the resources he was going to bring, he wants to establish this business in Kenya, but he needs Kenya to be a launching pad for business in Tanzania and Uganda. And therefore, took the advantage of a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya who is willing to push for that opportunity in this region, to have that businessman establish business in Kenya with branches in East Africa. And it's beneficial not just to Kenyans, but to also the region.
But you heard
so he has not refused.
Yeah, but you heard what Equity Bank said today, right?
Absolutely, and they are right. What the Equity Bank said rightly, and the deputy president in that interview, and I wish that interview runs again, he says he made a phone call even 2 years ago, it wasn't just recently, for a businessman who comes from East Africa, who wanted to establish a pharmaceutical company in Uganda and wanted to take advantage of financial strength of Equity Bank to finance that project. Equity has agreed to that in that committee. But what is true about what Equity has said, the deputy president didn't say that it's Hayden who borrowed the money. Equity Bank has also confirmed that the other client borrowed the money, truly as the DP called. And I still ask myself, and I really want to ask you also, Honorable Wanga and the team, when they go investigate whether deputy president said is true or wrong, whether an individual borrowed money from a bank that has a home in Kenya and operating in Uganda, therefore meaning that the deputy president was assisting our bank to do business with an investor. The question I ask myself, when you go embarrassing that bank, creating all these stories that are going place, to whose benefit? Because what is the criminal culpability of borrowing? If in Uganda, that man borrowed in excess or less or more, how is that going? You see, all over the world, parliaments work for the best interest of their companies and their institutions. To go and embarrass Equity Bank in a parliamentary process for something that we in Parliament now waste a lot of time instead of investigating police brutality, illegal evictions of normal citizens. We use that airtime to go and attack Equity Bank for absolutely nothing wrong they did except to do business with an investor in East Africa.
By the way,
we should be celebrating them.
Sure, I totally disagree with you when you say we don't give the deputy president enough airtime. Yeah. The day after the Turkish businessman was deported, deputy president was on our sister station the next morning.
I agree.
And he gave an interview. And every time he wants to talk, he talks to every media house he can.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, and maybe you are not even privy to that information. But we are privy because we have also access to this government, even though, like my friend Senator Wetangula likes to tell me, that now we are at the outer layer of the onion ring. Even though we are now at the outer layer of the government ring, we still have access to information because of friends and well-wishers who are willing to speak to Hustler Nation and all of us, that, the plan in government is that if you run good story about deputy president in your media house, you denied payment through the government advertisement agency. We also,
that's not true.
If it is not true,
yes.
Tell me, Jeff, why consistently, forget about an interview. If deputy president comes to your station for interview, you will increase your viewership a million times. That's a fact. It's good business. But why every other day when he's not there, or Murkomen is not there for an interview, the normal stories you are covering as a story, why give an attack of deputy president in your own station more than 10 minutes and rebut it? Is that within the...
Which story?
Yeah.
Kalonzo's story.
Okay. The question I ask you, and there are newspapers, the leading newspaper in the country. Do you still even think that that's an independent newspaper? It's now focusing on only William Ruto there, William Ruto this all the time. I saw Kalonzo and team complaining the other day. If we were to outrightly complain, yeah, it would even be our daily job to do so. The only thing I use this opportunity to say, we are not saying that we will... I'm not saying this because William Ruto has to get good coverage. When it's negative, it should be negative. But there are standards of journalism that are required. One is to be given a time to be rebutted. Stories must become stories that are balanced. If Kalonzo is accusing the deputy president with a list, you take the statement that comes from his office, also give it the equal prominence. Give the, fair, what is called fair reporting. And Kenyans, by the way, Jeff, you know how big empires fall? It's because of small problems. And I'm just saying, Kenyans, don't give the opportunity to Kenyans to find alternative, and they will do. Okay.
By the way, next time you talk to him, tell him he can come to the bench anytime. Huh?
You remember he wanted to come, and then terrorism.
And then,
you remember, you had invited him, you had announced it, you broadcasted,
correct.
And then it happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So in the meantime?
But if he goes for the radio station like he did, he still has come to Citizen. But I would really want to see an interview between you and him.
Me too.
Yeah.
Is he listening?
I hope so. I don't know. I haven't talked to him today.
Okay. According to Deputy President, he says, I am not quitting. There's no retreat, no surrender, because I am on a mission.
Correct.
Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Deputy President is being trapped was, as I told you, his resignation was pre-planned, okay? Conditions were put in place to ensure that, by the way, a number of times a year ago, they were planning to impeach him. Yeah, several times. And we knew the time I was removed, Duale, Susan, Washali, and then Cecil Mbarire, then followed by, Kangata later after participating in our removal, and all these people. And then the committee chairs and committee membership. The original plan was to impeach him and get another deputy that was going now to be groomed. It wasn't anywhere near Raila Odinga, it was somebody else. Then I think the plan would not succeed because the Raila Odinga team would not agree a removal of William Ruto to replace him with somebody else that is not, him and so forth. So we've survived the impeachments for the last 2 years of the deputy president. The plan has always been to remove him from government, which is very callous. If I tell you, Jeff, because this is a question I like, President Uhuru Kenyatta, I told you even here when I came here, was my friend, okay? And had it not been for his, very unconstitutional removals that he engaged himself in, had he consulted some of us, we would have still be having a working relationship. But even if he had called me as a friend and said, I don't feel like I can get somewhere with your leadership, I want you to resign, I would have done it because we were good friends. And one of the things that I look forward to having a conversation with retired President Uhuru Kenyatta after next year. I don't need to have it before then, but I'd like to visit him as a retired president and to ask him a very simple question. What makes a man, who has been, William Ruto campaigned for him 2002, stood by him. You see the video in Serena Hotel when he's conceding defeat, 2013, against all odds, at a very difficult time, he was willing to surrender his political ambitions to support the president, not because. But
it was both of them, right?
No, I'm just saying, not because the President Uhuru Kenyatta are not tried. Raila Odinga was not willing to be deputies of Uhuru. Mudavadi was not willing. Kalonzo was not willing. Even Eugene, of all people, who was offered, was not willing. It's William Ruto who accepted to become his deputy.
But they were both
at a very difficult
together,
time.
You know why?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. And then work together through that process. The insults that the president went through and his deputy from The Hague to very unfriendly attacks by the current opposition now come government, Raila Odinga and the team, attacking Uhuru Kenyatta, even saying that President Uhuru Kenyatta should be jailed in Hague, going to attack his family about, some scandals in health and so forth. Things that you don't even reach there, because you go and attack people's families when we are competing in politics. Now you go through to fast elections. It is so clear. I told the president some few months when he called me about this, that it was very clear in my mind the day we were in State House and we had lost elections. And we're asking ourselves, how do you go and do re-elections? And how we sat there and thought through what would become of this nation. Then immediately after that, you start using the same tactics that those people in the opposition were using to attack your own deputy. I would want, because it is not necessary for that answer to come between now and elections, but after elections, I'd like to visit the former president and have that conversation.
Tell me something, Senator.
Yeah.
The public spat between the president and his deputy, is that healthy for
It is not. It's not good for the country. What has happened now, what is the most unfortunate thing that I see happening because of Uhuru Ruto? Because so many people, even those who are in opposition, had a lot of hope in the manner in which the president and his deputy were working in the first term, because there was a lot of consultation, a lot of respect of the deputy president's office. So it gives great honor and respect to the institution of the presidency. And so people were planning their politics in the long term. Even those who wanted to deputize another person were confident that you can be a deputy and you can grow your career and serve your country. Now, because of what has happened in the last 4 years, it's not just that deputy president has been embarrassed. It is that the institution of the presidency has been put into jeopardy, so that even politicians who are arranging, do you know why Kalonzo now is finding himself at pains to deputize Raila anymore, and all the other parties? It's because they have seen what has happened between Uhuru and Ruto, and they are saying, why would I want to go and deputize a person I have no full trust in if they are going to do the same to me? So they are long-term repercussions about, it will be studied for many years,
but Kalonzo
the relationship.
Deputized Raila twice, remember?
In terms of a running mate.
Yes,
but now, I think, as I told you, the events of the last 4 years have made everybody who wants to become a deputy president a bit more scared, about their relationship with the president. And it's not a good thing for the legacy and for the constitutional order of this country.
When the president says that the deputy is in government, but working against government. In other words, people who live in glass houses don't throw stones.
I agree. But the president has only said on one issue. The president has only accused the deputy president of opposing BBI. But Jeff, BBI was not a government project. BBI was a project of two people that dropped in other people on the way. And even then, all attempts that the deputy president made to correct the flaws within BBI, the imperial presidency. Jeff, BBI, what it was going to create? It was going to create a president who is going to be in charge of parliament, because he's appointing the prime minister and ministers from that parliament. He's going to be in charge of the judiciary, because he's appointing an ombudsman so that he can be snooping and checking at judges and removing them when he wants. So that imperial presidency, the deputy president said, no, even if I'm going to be president tomorrow, as a deputy president today, even if I'm gunning for that office, I am not willing to be that imperial president, because that's where Kenya came from. And because of that position he took, that position was in public, was in Bomas. I am aware he spoke to the president about the same. And there is no collective responsibility when it comes to breaking the constitution. The deputy president had to do what an honorable person can do, an honorable citizen. He had to make his contribution. I saw some people joking on social media that when the deputy president said this BBI was taking away the gains that we have achieved in many years. So I saw some characters caricaturing the deputy president. He was not there in Kabenguria 6. He was not there in 1980s coup. He was not there in Second Liberation. But the deputy president came to politics in 1997. And as soon as he entered politics, he was an assistant minister. Raila was a minister in the same government of President Arap Moi. And after that, he made his contribution. Not all of us have to be jailed like Jomo Kenyatta for you to say there is a struggle. The struggle they went through fighting the 205 Constitution. He was the chairman of the Constitution Review Commission, committee in Parliament. when we were dealing with the constitutional amendments. He made his contribution in post-2007. He made his contribution in 2013. He's making a contribution now. Every Kenyan is making a contribution of making Kenya a better place by building on the established blocks. The fact that Raila Odinga is 80 years and therefore was privileged, in quotes, privileged to be in the country at a time that was so dark, people were being detained without trial and so forth, and he made his contribution that time, does not mean that because I was not born then, I am less of a qualified Kenyan to make my contribution going forward.
Yeah, I don't think that's a privilege, but that's a story for another day. Let me ask you this, though.
And the people who are making this contribution, know that Uhuru Kenyatta is our president, but he was not detained for 9 years.
So why does the deputy president criticize the president and the government, let's say, on borrowing? Saying, the 9 trillion shilling ceiling, it's too much on that. And everything from the Ruto gun factory as well.
Ruto gun factory. He's criticized police brutality. He has criticized what we call demolitions of houses.
But he's in the same government.
He has criticized the businesses that have been closed in Yamakima, in these places, including in Nyeri, in Nyandarua, Nakuru, and other places. Why? Because, Jeff, there is no clause in the Constitution that says you do not criticize government if you are inside government. Absolutely not.
You are part of the government.
Absolutely.
And you want to make a change?
No, criticizing that government is helping it better. I don't know what Kenyans want. You want Murkomen or William Ruto or any other person to become today a sycophant of everything that is happening in government that is wrong. Then tomorrow you ask him, you were in that government, why did you raise it? If our government was functioning like the way it functioned last time, then you would expect that cabinet meet. When did the cabinet last meet? Just a guesswork. You remember, when did the cabinet last meet?
I think it meets every Tuesday, but maybe.
Have you seen, Jeff? Honestly, you are in Media House. Have you heard that the cabinet has even met in the last 3 months? Even 4, even 5. So we have institutions that should have provided an avenue for the deputy president to make his contribution there and take collective responsibility and not functioning. And if what do you want him to do?
Walk away. Why not walk away?
Why walk away?
I'm not saying I'm just saying, if you don't like what's happening, walk away from it. And
why can we make the people who are doing those wrong things to walk away, so that the deputy president who has those alternative ideas can remain, and those who do not believe in the ideas is please go away? Why is walking away a one-way traffic? It is not. Walking away is a personal decision, a choice that you make. But there are people who are strong enough to know that you make greater contribution by continuing to push for things to be done in a better way inside than to run away from responsibility. How do you run away from an office that people elected you, then you go and tell them, those people are not doing well, when you have an opportunity to, as much as possible, continue putting pressure on those who are doing the wrong things so that they can do the right thing?
So let me ask you this, how much frustration can he take then? Because if he was on the outside, then he'll be continuing his campaigns and everyone would know where he stands. But he still has one leg inside the big house.
The frustrations that Deputy President has in government at the moment is nothing if you compare it with the opportunity he has, even by just occupying the office. Even if he is denied constitutional responsibility by the president, that occupation of that office gives an opportunity for the deputy president to voice out these things, the negative things that are happening, but not just that, to give Kenyans alternative ways of approaching issues and to inspire others to be able to do things differently. That platform that the deputy president has is a platform that he has used and he should continue to use to inspire hustlers, to speak to them, to inspire hope and a better future for them.
So when he says he's on a mission,
yes,
is that a different mission than his boss?
No. It's the same mission that they preached in 2017. Unfortunately, his boss chose a different mission that they didn't agree on. They agreed on government programs, including Big Four agenda. His boss put a pause on on the Big Four agenda and pursued BBI. I can understand the frustration the president is going through. It's because 4 years of investment on BBI came to a naught because it was unconstitutional. But it was not the deputy president that made it unconstitutional. It is because the courts that have been given the powers by the law and ordinary citizens, if you know that some of the petitioners that went to court are very ordinary citizens, took that responsibility to go to court as are required and allowed by the Constitution to fight for a better country. And by the way, Jeff, I am very proud of those who went to take that step. Some of them were my students. In fact, very young people. If you know that there was a girl called Carol that was interviewed the other day. She was my student at Moi University. I have had other students that were in Catholic University. They were part of the bench. A number of them, of the bar and the lawyers that went to court. And I'm very proud of them. I am proud of my teachers who are judges like Justice Kairu and my friend and colleague when we used to teach, Justice Kairu, and also Justice Kiage, among others. Every time, I have even criticized judges before, but with the benefit of hindsight, I sit back and say, we thank God we have an independent judiciary, so that whoever even be elected, even if Murkomen tomorrow becomes president, and people of Kenya do not agree with my policies, at least I am put under checks. People who voice out issues that are negative are not enemies of government. They are the best friends of government.
Okay, before I take a break real quick, let me ask you this. Does Deputy President William Ruto, does he have to be president?
No, he doesn't have to be. In fact, Deputy President William Ruto is just a presidential candidate with a new idea. He is selling something called bottom-up approach. He has put on the table new policies. Those new policies are going to be to be marketed. They will be taken to marketplace for purpose of campaign. A campaign will be done. The results of that campaign will be announced. If Deputy President does not become president, I will be one of the people standing beside him to concede and to build our country in a different capacity. So he doesn't have to be president. But, and that is exactly what I want to tell our colleagues there. I see so many people working so hard. And I've had this conversation with my friend Matiang'i. By the way, Musheru, I know Musheru so well for the period we worked together. And I know some of the people I introduced to him and some of the things I've shared with him about politics. I just want to tell Joe Musheru, if you want to, and Matiang'i, Kibicho, and also public servants who think that they are working so hard to block the deputy president from being president, I want to tell them to read history. Mwai Kibaki, the people who blocked Mwai Kibaki so hard, were in Uhuru Park during the handing over ceremony. And they could not even see the Mwai Kibaki. Even though he was on a wheelchair, they would not see him face to face. I want to tell all public servants, we have a long period of time to be in this country if God gives us long life and protect us. Relax. You know, tomorrow the person you are tear gassing could be tomorrow your boss. It is not a life and death issue. Don't make it your, it is alpha and omega kind of politics where you think, I wish President Uhuru Kenyatta, because I saw his interview the other day. President Uhuru Kenyatta insisted that he was trying to bring Raila Odinga so that he can unite the country. And that, thus we have good politics and so forth. Now, I don't know this mathematics. You bring the one who swore himself in, committed treason and called himself people's president, who said you should go to Hague, who insulted you, your family, and everything, who called you all kind of things, even the president used to say, Raila is a dangerous man, and all that kind of thing. So you work hard, you bring that person. And then in the process, you chase the one that against all odds supported you to be where you are.
Yeah, but there's no such thing as political enemies, you know that.
I agree, but I'm just saying, why can't the president learn something from President Mwai Kibaki? Even when in his heart of hearts, you could tell he's supporting Uhuru Kenyatta. He decided he was not going to make Uhuru Kenyatta a project. And there was no day Raila Odinga was tear gassed. He enjoyed his position of prime minister until the day he lost to Uhuru Kenyatta. Why can't our president learn from such very great wisdom and just leave conditions and environment where all of us will compete? Whoever becomes president, we move on. Our country moves on.
All right, let's move on to a break. Take a quick break, come back. We're talking to Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen. We're supposed to have Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., but hey, you know.
It's hard defending Oka.
Take a break. Keep tweeting at Penange Jeff at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JK Live. JK Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.